Hi, I'm Hank Patterson, world-renowned fly fishing expert and guide. This week's What Would Hank Do question comes from Jake in North Dakota. It says, Hank, spent some time in Alaska last year and ran across a couple of grizzly bears fishing for salmon. Now, does the Alaska Fish and Game enforce the same daily salmon limits on grizzly bears that they do on anglers such as myself? And if not, why? The simple answer to the first part of your question, Jake, is no. No, the Alaska Fish and Game does not enforce the same limits on grizzly bears that they do on anglers such as yourself. They don't. The answer to the second part of your question, Jake, is a little bit more interesting because the answer to that is because they're scared. They're frightened and they're scared too, and they're afraid of grizzly bears, and so they won't even attempt to try to regulate how many salmon that they're catching every single day just because they're scared. I mean, they'll be the first people to tell you that, hey, if they run into a grizzly bear in the wild, they just drop to the ground and pretend like they're dead. Here's the problem. Salmon are a declining species. Here are some facts that I came up with at a bar last night. 20% of all salmon die of natural causes. Swim out to the ocean, they swim back, they spawn, they end up dead or whatever. 35%, all right, are killed in dams. 48% are lost to El Nino. 7.95% simply drown. That's a surprising number I came up with. 37.6% are lost to bald eagle attacks. 12% just get in fights and end up dead. 17.25% are lost to lightning. And 84.6% of all salmon are lost to grizzly bears. Now that's a science fact right there. I wrote it down myself last night on this piece of paper. So what I've done, Jake, is I've offered on my own dime to fly up to Alaska and sit down at a table, bring the two parties together, the Fish and Game, the grizzly bears, and let's just sit down at a table and let's have an open, honest, friendly, frank conversation about the possibility, just the possibility that grizzly bears would adhere to the same regulations as other anglers. But the Alaska Fish and Game, they refuse to even come and sit down at the table and have a conversation, which I don't understand. The grizzly bears are willing. They haven't said, hey, we won't show up. They'll come. Okay, we're gonna get finger sandwiches, we're gonna get coffee, we're gonna have some beers, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna have a few laughs, we're gonna have an open dialogue. But the Fish and Game refused. Here's how they responded to me. They said, Hank, we cannot, here it is, email. We cannot train grizzly bears to limit the number of salmon that they catch and eat. It is an impossibility. Their words, impossible. Really. Because I was at a circus last week, all right, and they had a grizzly bear riding on a unicycle playing a piccolo wearing a tutu. Okay, they had a second grizzly bear. He's over here. He's square dancing with a three-legged dog. And you're telling me that it is impossible for you to train a grizzly bear to limit the number of salmon they catch every day? Let me leave you with this parting thought. While I was sitting at that circus, and I'm watching that grizzly bear, and he is dancing with that beautiful three-legged dog who had lost his paw, hand to God, to a lawnmower blade in '05. I had one thing, one thought running through my mind, and that is this: nothing is impossible.